Good afternoon and welcome to News Track coming to you live from our Refill studio. My name is Modesty Nianglong. Vice President Kashim Shettima on Wednesday launched the $500 million Niger Delta Agricultural Investment Fund, describing it as a major step towards restoring agriculture to its rightful place in Nigeria's economy and strengthening the country's food security. Shettima said the fund unveiled at the Niger Delta Agricultural Development and Investment Summit in Abuja would mobilize investments across agricultural value chain while helping to transform the Niger Delta into a major food production hub, despite its long-standing dependence on oil resources. The summit was jointly organized by the Office of the Vice President and the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC). A statement issued by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications Office of the Vice President Stanley Nkocha, Shettima said Nigeria's prosperity before the discovery of crude oil was built on agriculture, stressing that no nation could secure its future without first guaranteeing its food supply. He noted that while countries may derive wealth from different natural resources, their long-term stability depends on their ability to feed their citizens. Shettima recalled that the groundnut pyramids of the north, cocoa plantation in the west, and palm produce from the east and the Niger Delta finance Nigeria's early developments, including schools, hospitals, and key public institutions. He, however, lamented that the oil boom shifted national attention away from agriculture, encouraging dependence on food imports instead of domestic production. The Vice President commended the Niger Delta for choosing to diversify its economy through the agriculture rather than relying solely on oil revenues. Following the conclusion of investigations into issues that necessitated the suspension of Rector of Bashar Abdullahi Idris Issa, the Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang has approved and directed his immediate reinstatement. The decision follows the submission and careful consideration of the findings and recommendations of the investigative committee constituted to examine the circumstances surrounding the matter. A statement by the Secretary to the Government of the State, Samuel Jatto, said government considers it appropriate to restore the traditional ruler to his office in line with fairness, justice, and the preservation of the revived traditional institution. The governor has further directed relevant authorities to give immediate effect to the reinstatement while urging the traditional rulers to continue to provide purposeful leadership in promoting peace, unity, security, and sustainable development within Bashar Chiefdom and the state at large. The Plateau State government therefore calls on the people of Bashar Chiefdom and all stakeholders to continue to support the traditional institution and work together in fostering peace and coexistence and harmonious community relations. Government equally appreciates the patience, understanding, and cooperation of the people throughout the period of the investigation and reiterates its commitment to strengthening traditional institutions as indispensable partners in governance, peace building, and community development. Plateau State Ministry of Health says it will continue to improve primary healthcare services, reduce maternal and child mortality, and strengthen disease surveillance across the state. Commissioner of Health Nicholas Bamlong stated this at the 2026 Joint Annual Review meeting with health partners in the state. Our correspondent has details.
The 2026 Annual Joint Review Meeting of the Plateau State Ministry of Health and its partners had as theme Advancing Equity and Innovation, Strengthening Community-Centered Health System for Sustainable Impact. The review meeting had in attendance government officials, development partners, head of agencies, and key stakeholders in the health sector. According to the Commissioner, Ministry of Health, Nicholas Bamlong, the annual review meeting provides an opportunity for them to evaluate achievements, identify existing gaps, and collectively design practical solutions that will strengthen the state healthcare system.
I want to sincerely express our appreciation to our partners that are here that have walked this path with us over these years, provided technical expertise, resources, and unwavering commitment to what we are doing in the health sector in Plateau.
State Algon Chairman Hamisu Anani urged all stakeholders to work collaboratively towards ensuring that no community is left behind in accessing essential health services.
A healthy population is the foundation of sustainable development. We must therefore continue to invest in quality primary health care.
In their separate goodwill messages, Plateau State Coordinator World Health Organization Madi Musa and the statewide approach coordinator officer Abuja Ibrahim Amadu reaffirmed their commitment to supporting government's efforts in strengthening healthcare in Plateau State. The review meeting highlighted gains recorded in disease prevention and control, maternal and child health, immunization, health workforce development, emergency preparedness, and examined gap affecting service delivery. In Jos, Bridget Rochak.
The Nigerian Labour Congress Plateau State chapter has threatened to shut down the State Assembly's complex beginning 30th of this month should members refuse to withdraw a bill seeking to provide life pension to former speakers, principal officers, and other members. Plateau State NLC Chairman Eugene Manji disclosed this at a press conference in Jos. Our correspondent has details.
Members of the Plateau State House of Assembly during a recently held plenary presented and passed for the first and second reading a bill that seeks to provide lifetime pension for former speakers, principal officers and members of the Assembly. Addressing journalists, State NLC Chairman Eugene Manji described the bill as inhumane, noting that the Labour Union has rejected it in totality.
And if there's anything they need to do is to withdraw it. And so on this one we are saying we are rejecting it and we are rejecting it in totality. Yes. Any attempt to go further, to force any bill against the people of Plateau right behind the door, for whichever means they are going to do it, we are ready and capable to bring the state down, not just the House of Assembly. We've done that before and we are ready to do it.
He stressed that the NLC, civil society organizations and citizens would use every legitimate means to ensure that the bill is withdrawn in the interest of the people. The NLC chairman stated that the speed at which the bill was passed at the floor of the House without public input is unacceptable. Manji tasked the House to focus on issues that would address insecurity and poverty instead of self-serving bills.
Because these are the people who are thinking they are supposed to have focus, and present bills that are supposed to bring us, harmonize us together, bring socio-economic development in the state. These are the people just concerned about this. The speedy passage of this, at which they are trying to do, you can see the selfish interest in it. But I'm saying, not all of them are in celebration of this.
State Chairman of the Trade Union Congress Kenneth Shama and Chairman Coalition of Civil Society Organizations Steve Aluko both aligned with the position of the Labour movement. I am Gokop Timothy.
Joint leadership of the Jama'atul Nasir Islam and the Christian Association of Nigeria in Jos East local government area has distanced itself from a purported letter to the governor of Plateau State calling for the reversal of the candidature of the Deputy Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Isa Madaki, as the APC candidate for Jos East constituency. This they did during a press conference in Jos. Our House of Assembly correspondent has details.
Addressing journalists, the joint leadership of Jama'atul Nasir Islam and Christian Association of Nigeria in Jos East local government area has dismissed as false and misleading activities of a faceless group identified as the Jos East local government Indigenous Muslim Political Forum loyal to members of the APC, describing it as an organization with no legitimacy or recognized standing. In a statement jointly endorsed by the two bodies and read by the General Secretary of JNI, Jos East Local Government Area, Malam Yawa Mezalo, the religious leaders maintained that Jama'atul Nasr Islam is the only recognized Muslim structure within the locality.
We are not merely symbolic religion organization. We are custodians of faith, entrusted with the spiritual, moral responsibility of promoting truth, justice, peace, and community development.
They are of the opinion that the sudden emergence of the group is suspicious, deceptive, and appears to be a calculated attempt to create false impression of religious division in a community that testifies to peaceful coexistence and interreligious harmony.
They will have first consult the recognized leadership of the Muslim Ummah before embarking in such actions. Their failure to do so clearly demonstrated that their motives are personal and political rather than communal and religious.
The joint leadership also rejected claims that the emergence of the Deputy Speaker of the Plateau State House of Assembly, Issa Madaki, was as a result of political manipulation or imposition, maintaining that his political pedigree reflects the democratic will of the people, ends through years of dedication and inclusive public service. Chairman of JNI in Jos East local government area, Ibrahim Abdu, and his Khan counterpart, Reverend Ishaya Azi, cautioned politicians against exploiting religion for political gains. The religious leaders also commended Governor Caleb Mutfwang for what they describe as the unprecedented infrastructural development currently taking place in Jos East local government area, particularly the ongoing construction of the Fobor, Federe and Gware roads and other critical projects aimed at improving the lives of residents. In Jos, I am Shama Kigang.
Head of Medical Social Work Department of the Jos University Teaching Hospital, JUTH, Rhoda Douji, is appealing to members of the public to assist in identifying an unknown patient who has been under medical care for more than 3 weeks. Douji made the appeal during an interview with journalists at the hospital's permanent site in Jos. Our correspondent has details.
Head of the Medical Social Work Department, JUTH, Rhoda Douji, said all efforts by the hospital to obtain substantial information about the patient's identity to enable them trace his family was met with a brick wall.
This is part of the effort by calling the media to come and cover the patient and publicize that there is a patient who is unknown, was treated for neuro case and is now discharged from neuro, but still required further treatment, which is the psychiatric aspect.
In an interview, the patient, who managed to introduce himself as Emmanuel, appeared traumatized and mentally uncoordinated. He disclosed that he is of the Ishan ethnic group from a Fadion community in Ishan Northeast local government area of Edo State. Emmanuel, who could not clearly explain the circumstances that led to his current situation, however, claimed that he had returned from Italy before finding himself in Jos.
I don't really know, but I just know Monday. That was a cave from our city where I didn't know my document. I came with people, but I didn't want to call them, but my number is not going. Okay. But I called them, they are fine.
The nurse in charge of Neuro Ward 14, Juliana Fadib, explained the circumstances under which Emmanuel was brought to the hospital and highlighted some distinguishing features that may assist in identifying him.
He was knocked down by a vehicle. Nobody knows him. We have been taking care of him without relation. He talks when he wishes. The only thing he can tell us that his name is Emmanuel and he's from Edo State.
The hospital management expressed optimism that with wider public awareness, members of the public who may recognize the patient or have useful information regarding his family or place of residence will come forward and contact the hospital authorities. I am Maren James.
As the world marks Youth Skills Day 2026, youth are calling for increased investment in skills development to enable them contribute meaningfully to national development. Our correspondent in this report looks at the significance of the day in value addition to young people. The reports. The World Youth Skills Day, observed annually on July 15th, was established by the United Nations to recognize the significance of equipping young people with relevant vocational, technical, and digital skills. The theme for this year's celebration, Skills for a Shared Future, highlights the need for young people to be equipped with technical and AI knowledge to thrive in a changing society. Director, Technical and Vocational Skills Training and Development Department, ITF, Nancy Ekong, said in Nigeria, youth make up a significant quota of the population. As such, investing in skills acquisition is critical to addressing unemployment. She said so far the fund has offered a range of skills development programs through the Skills Up Artisan program, SUPER, to include solar power installation, ICT and digital skills, fashion design and tailoring, among others, for young people in the state.
For any trade you want to learn, you cannot learn it free of charge. You have to part with money. But ITF will be the one to pay the master trainers. In other words, the artisans are going to be engaged in this program for free. Anybody who attends this program successfully can work in any part of the country.
Manager AHOPS Technologies Limited, Musa Ayuba, who trains youth on AI machine learning, web app development, data analysis, said the world is evolving technologically and young people must follow the trend in order to be independent and self-employed.
AHOP Technologies is out in order to empower young people with skills that they can meet up with future challenges, because virtually everything now is moving into what? ICT, and ICT.
A fashion designer, Emmanuel Moses, who has trained over 15 apprentices in the field, said he has been able to complete his tertiary education with the resources gotten from his handwork.
It has helped me to sort a lot of personal needs and then also to give back to the community by training others.
Some youth, Paul Ibrahim and Vivian Pam, who are learning data analysis and tailoring respectively, acknowledge that there are little or no white-collar jobs, while appealing to governments at all levels to put in place policies that encourages innovation and entrepreneurship.
We're in a very jet era and we need such training so as to get ourselves equipped when it comes to communication.
I chose this skill because I'm a graduate now. I've served. There are no jobs. I've applied different places and there are no positive response. This is work that you can start with as low as 500,000.
In Jos, Modesty Nianglong. A coalition of Plateau indigenous youth bodies wants security agencies to replicate the recently established Birkin-Ladi intelligence-driven security architecture operational camp in other locations continuously attacked by bandits and other terror groups. The coalition made the appeal at a press conference held at the NUJ Secretariat in Jos. Our correspondent has more.
The enlarged press conference by the Fizere and Naguta attacker at 10 Birom, Irigui, Kulere, Mushere, Mogavul Pan and Ron Youth Associations in conjunction with the Plateau State indigenous youth bodies is to draw the attention of the public and government on the recurring attacks on some communities, update on the ongoing intelligence-driven operations by the DSS, and bring to limelight a false allegation by a group of people in Birkin-Ladi local government. Briefing journalist, Northern Zone Coalition's chairman of Indigenous Youth Nationalities, Solomon Montery, said a sustained intelligence-driven operation by the DSS personnel since the camp became operational on the 1st of June this year has significantly reduced the frequency of attacks and rekindled hope that peace is gradually returning to communities hitherto saturated by fear. Monterey emphasized that a coordinated expansion of a proactive security deployment driven by intelligence, interagency synergy, and sustained operational presence will strengthen the protection of lives and property. He, however, noted that despite the progress being recorded, spurious allegations have surfaced accusing the DSS personnel of sexually harassing and intimidating Fulani women around Kwak community, otherwise known as Rugajalu, in Birkin-Ladi local government area.
Deserved prompt, impartial, and transparent investigation in accordance with our extant laws. However, sensational allegations must never be elevated to established facts without evidently proving, which, in our firm view, is a propaganda machine strategically deployed sheepishly, not only to majorly disrupt, but also whittle down the ongoing crackdown on regime of insurgency, enabling Plateau and the country at large.
The youth groups promise to stand firm by every constitutionally driven intelligence and professional operation aimed at dismantling terrorist networks occupying lands illegally, thereby securing ancestral communities in the state. I am Gokop Timothy.
And on the foreign scene, 11 people have died in a fire at a foster care facility in Algiers, Algeria's capital city. The country's civil protection department said 19 others were injured in the blaze, which firefighters were still attempting to extinguish at 6:50 local time on Thursday. Authorities did not specify the ages of those killed or injured. Amid the fire, 5 people with special needs were taken into care and transported to a safe location, the Civil Protection Department stated this. Algeria has been experiencing a heat wave for several days, and nearly 1,000 fires have been recorded in the space of a week, the AFP news agency has reported. Algerian state media said Prime Minister Sifir Grip had been to 2 hospitals in Algiers to visit the individuals injured in Thursday's fire. The report was accompanied by a picture of Grip next to a child in a hospital bed. And that's the much we can take on this package. Stay tuned for global news at 6:30 p.m. A news update at 10 p.m.